We're talking $18.3 million from a season most people would call a failure. Here's the catch: Parker set out to hit 8,000 ounces this year. He ended up with 6,837. That's a massive miss. We started the season with a 10,000 ounce goal. We brought it down to the 8,000 ounce goal and we're nowhere close. In 14 years of mining, we've never set a goal and not hit it. The kind of gap that would normally define a season as a disappointment. But record-shattering gold prices turned every single ounce into the most valuable gold Parker has ever pulled from the ground. Gold price, yeah. I don't even like to talk about it or look at it. Me neither, because it should be illegal. That's how high it is, isn't it? And the math stopped making sense in the best possible way, and the moment his crew finds out what actually happened, standing around a campfire, beers in hand, expecting bad news, the energy shifts completely. So here's the deal. This is the story of how falling short still broke every record in the book. Frozen machines killed the season. It's the final day of mining, and the Klondike has already made up its mind. Parker's crew has been grinding for months, 16-hour days, 7 days a week, pushing 3 wash plants through one of the toughest seasons in recent memory. We're in a situation where there's a ton of work and unrealistic expectations from a boss that likes to have unrealistic expectations. He's got 6,088 ounces banked heading into this last week, which means he needs nearly 2,000 ounces from the final cleanup to hit his 8,000 target. Everyone on the crew can do that math. Everyone knows that's a long shot, but Parker Schnabel doesn't quit early. He never has. And the way he sees it, every hour of daylight is another hour to close the gap. The temperature dropped hard overnight. You can feel it in the air before you even step outside, that sharp, biting cold that tells you the Klondike is done playing nice. The ground is stiff. The water lines are sluggish. And the pay pile sitting in front of Roxan looks more like a frozen wall than mineable gravel. Mitch fires up Roxan, Parker's workhorse wash plant. Mitch is slicing the elbow cut with Roxan. We're scratching at every last bit of ground that we've got available. And we do have one trick left up our sleeve. For one last run at the season's final pay pile, within seconds, the pre-wash jams solid. The gravel is soaked through with moisture, and overnight temperatures have turned the whole feed system into a frozen brick. The crew grabs shovels, chips it clear, gets rocks spinning again. It freezes up a second time, then a third. The moisture content in the dirt is just too high. Every bucket locks up the moment it hits Roxan's cold steel guts. Material goes into the hopper feeder and freezes. They clear it out, push it into the pre-wash, and it piles up there instead. It's an endless cycle of chipping, clearing, restarting, and freezing all over again. I showed up to go 12 rounds, Parker says, jaw set, staring at the mess choking his wash plant. So let's keep going. But the Klondike doesn't care about willpower. The temperature isn't rising. The gravel isn't drying out. And every hour they spend fighting frozen equipment is an hour they're burning fuel, burning labor, and producing absolutely nothing. At a certain point, the math stops working. You're spending more to run the plant than the gold you're recovering is worth. And that's a line even Parker can't ignore forever. Mitch pulls Parker aside and lays it out straight. It's been one problem after the next, Mitch tells him. We put material in the hopper feeder. It freezes up. We get it cleared out. Gets up into the pre-wash. It's all piled up there again. There's a ton of moisture. I think it might be time to put old Roxan to bed for the year. Parker doesn't answer right away. 14 years as a mine boss and stopping early still feels like surrender. Yeah, we'll stop. We'll stop this mayhem. Mitch nods. I think we've worn out our welcome. Well, that sucks, Parker mutters. So close, man. The crew shuts everything down. The engines go quiet. The conveyors stop turning. And just like that, the season is over. Somewhere in those frozen sluice mats sits the last gold of the season, locked under ice. Impossible to reach, Parker asks how the cleanup looks. The answer, frozen. Is there gold in there? Hard to tell with everything iced over. Just say yes, Parker mutters. Yeah, it looks great. Best cleanup of the season, man. Season's worth of gold in those mats. Whether that's optimism or loyalty, Parker takes it. Because the season is over now, and there's nothing left to do but find out what they actually pulled from the ground. The shovels are down, the plants are cold, and everything comes down to the scale, but the number sitting on that scale is about to rewrite everything. The final weigh shocks everyone. Parker walks into the gold room and hands down. This is the moment of truth. Every ounce from every plant, every brutal week of the entire season, it all comes down to what hits the scale in the next few minutes. That he's got 6,088 ounces already banked. He needs close to 2,000 from this final week to hit 8,000. Nobody's saying it out loud, but everybody in that room knows the odds. 2,000 ounces in a single week would be a record-shattering number. The kind of number that doesn't just happen. It requires everything to go right at exactly the same time, and this week, almost nothing went right. Mr. Bob, let's do it. First up, wash plant Bob. It's been running pay dirt from the bridge cut all week, chewing through some of the most promising material on Parker's claim. The bridge cut has been one of the more consistent producers this season. Not flashy, not record-breaking, but steady and reliable, the kind of ground that keeps an operation in the black. That if any plant was going to deliver a strong final number, Bob had the best shot. The gold room is quiet as the cleanup pours onto the scale. The gold pours onto the scale and the digital readout starts climbing. 200, 250, 280, 300, 330, 340. Final number, 343.7 ounces worth over $920,000. Not bad, huh? Parker says. And it's not. That's a strong haul from a single plant in a single week. $920,000 sitting on a scale is the kind of number that most miners in the Klondike would celebrate for a month, but context is everything right now. Parker needs close to 2,000 ounces total from this final week. And his first plant just delivered 343. That leaves a massive gap with only 2 machines left to weigh. The math is getting uncomfortable and everyone in the room can feel it. Next, Mitch's plant, Roxan, the same machine that spent its final day choking on frozen gravel, had been sluicing pay dirt from the elbow cut earlier in the week. This is the most promising pit on Parker's entire Dominion Creek claim. Basically, the ground everyone's been betting on all season. The elbow cut has been showing signs of serious gold concentration for weeks. And if there's a monster number hiding anywhere in this final cleanup, this is where it would come from. So here's the deal. Roxanne's number is going to tell Parker whether the elbow cut lives up to the hype or whether it was all just wishful thinking. The gold hits the scale. 180, 240, 270. Final weight, 306.3 ounces worth $820,000. Well done, man, Parker says, and he means it. Well done. Pulling over 300 ounces from a plant that spent half the week fighting mechanical nightmares is something to be genuinely proud of. Mitch ran that operation through conditions that would have shut down lesser crews days earlier. And he still delivered a number north of 300. That says something about the ground and it says something about the operator, but the reality is clear. 2 plants down and Parker sitting at 650 ounces combined. He needed 2,000. There's one plant left and it would need to produce over 1,300 ounces to close the gap. That's not happening. The 8,000-ounce dream is slipping away with every number that hits the scale, and then the wild card, the new plant, the rock gobbler. Nobody can quite remember who named it, but this machine was fired up specifically to process the very first dirt from Parker's brand new gold run cut. Untested ground. Could be a gold mine. Could be a dead end. Everyone's obsessed with the big numbers from Bob and Roxanne, but this is the one that tells Parker whether his future is as rich as he thinks it is. Because the gold run cut isn't about this season. It's about the next 5 seasons. It's the ground Parker is betting his entire operation's future on. And this first cleanup is basically a report card on whether that bet was smart. Parker leans in as the gold pours out. The first thing everyone notices is the texture, chunky, heavy pieces mixed with fine gold. The kind of material that screams rich, undisturbed pay layers sitting beneath the surface. That's not processed recycled ground. That's virgin dirt giving up gold it's been holding for thousands of years. Wow, sweet. The scale settles at 99.2 ounces, worth $266,000 on paper. Not a monster number, but as proof of concept from brand new ground running its very first dirt, that's exactly what Parker needed to see. That ground is real. That gold is there. And next season, with the rock gobbler dialed in and the cut fully opened up, those numbers could explode into something massive. Now, the only number that matters, the weekly total. Bob runs the math and pauses. We had a tremendous week. Our best week, 749.2 ounces. Parker's eyes go wide. 749 ounces in a single week. The best weekly haul of the entire season. And it's not even close. The crazy part is, in any normal year that number would have the whole crew celebrating like they just won the lottery. 749 ounces is an incredible week by any standard in Klondike mining. But it's not 2,000. And that means the 8,000-ounce goal is officially dead. Parker's season total sits at 6,837.4 ounces, more than 1,000 short of the target he set back in spring. Or at least that's how it looks on paper, because what happens next changes the entire math. Record prices change everything. Bob pulls up the season total. Every ounce from every cleanup, every wash plant, every single week of the entire summer, all combined into one final number, season total, 6,837.4 ounces. Parker lets that land. More than 1,000 ounces short of his 8,000-ounce target. By any production measure, this is a miss. A significant one. For the first time in his career, Parker set a number this big and came up this short. In any other year, this would be the headline. This would be the story everyone tells. Parker Schnabel finally bit off more than he could chew. The guy who's been crushing targets since he was barely old enough to drive a truck just posted his biggest miss in 14 seasons, but it's not that simple, though. Not this year, because the world outside the Klondike has been doing something wild while Parker was busy fighting frozen wash plants. Then Bob says the number that changes everything. Record gold prices mean your final total is worth $18.3 million. A lot of lean ground. Spent a lot of money. Record high gold prices are saving our ass. It's the only light in a very cloudy sky. But it also hurts because record high prices would have been the time to have a record season. And the gold room goes dead silent. You could hear a pin drop, $18.3 million. Let that sink in for a second. That is more cash than Parker Schnabel has ever pulled in from a single season. More than his legendary years where he crushed the 8,000-ounce mark and everyone called him a prodigy. More than seasons where every wash plant ran perfectly and the gold flowed like water through the sluice boxes, and get this, he did it with fewer ounces than almost any of those previous record seasons. The ounce total is down, but the dollar total just shattered every record Parker has ever set. It's the kind of number that makes you do a double take, then check the math, then do a double take again. Gold prices had been smashing records all year long. Every ounce Parker pulled out of the ground was worth dramatically more than it would have been just 12 months ago. Basically, the market did what the wash plants could not. It closed the gap between what Parker produced and what he needed to produce. The price per ounce climbed so high that 6,837 ounces in this market was worth more than 8,000 ounces would have been in previous years. Think about that for a second. Parker mined less gold and made more money. That's the kind of math that turns a missed target into a career-best payday. And it's the kind of thing that only happens once in a generation of mining. Here's the catch, though. A record dollar number doesn't automatically mean record profit. Parker knows that better than anyone sitting in that room. Considering the price of gold's up, we're okay, Parker says, his tone careful and measured. Which is good, but we spent a lot of money this summer. Crazy. And he's not exaggerating. New equipment, new claims, 3 wash plants running simultaneously, a full crew employed through an extended season, battling constant mechanical failures. This was one of the most expensive operations Parker has ever run. The rock gobbler alone was a major capital investment, and it only just started producing. The gap between $18.3 million in gross revenue and what actually lands in Parker's pocket is something he'll be calculating for weeks. Revenue is one thing. Profit is another, and Parker is smart enough to know the difference, but right now, none of that changes what just happened. The number on the board says $18.3 million. And that's a number that demands a celebration. Even if the ounce total didn't hit the mark, it's the kind of result that makes you rethink what success actually looks like in this business. Is it hitting the ounce target you wrote on the board in April, or is it pulling the biggest cash haul of your career? Parker's going to be wrestling with that question all winter, but there's a crew sitting around a campfire who still thinks they just had a losing season, and Parker's about to change their minds. Campfire confession. Parker heads up to the campfire and the whole crew is already there. Beers cracked, fire roaring. Dozens of faces turn toward the guy who asked them to bet another summer of their lives on his plan. Some of these people have been with Parker for years. They've seen the big seasons, the tough seasons, and everything in between. Others are new this season, recruited on the promise that this would be the year everything came together. All of them put in the hours. All of them gave everything they had. And all of them deserve the truth. First of all, I really appreciate everybody being here and sticking this season out, Parker tells them. It's been a difficult one. No sugarcoating. No spin. That's Parker's way. He's never been the type to dress up bad news, and he's not about to start now. Gold production-wise, we ended up at 6,837 ounces. A murmur ripples through the crew. They know the target was 8,000. They know they missed. And for a moment, the campfire feels heavy. Months of grinding, months of 16-hour days and frozen mornings and mechanical breakdowns, and the number still came up short. That stings. There's no way around it, it's well short of what we were going for. But we did learn a lot. We know the ground much better now. And this is what separates a one-season miner from a 14-year veteran. Parker doesn't just see ounces. He sees data. The elbow cut proved itself as high-grade ground that could produce serious numbers with a full season of focused mining. The gold run cut delivered promising first results from the rock gobbler, confirming that the new ground Parker invested in is the real deal. Even the sections that underperformed taught the crew where not to waste time and money when spring rolls around. Every yard of overburden strip this season is intelligence that makes next year's plan sharper, next year's target more realistic, and next year's operation more efficient. I have no doubt we're going to come back next season with a vengeance and a very big goal, and we're going to hit it. A few nods. A few raised beers. The heaviness starts to lift. You can feel the mood shifting from the weight of a missed target to the hunger of unfinished business. We missed the target, but that's what's going to make next year so much better. We have more ground open. We have good ground open, as we just saw from the final gold way. We just have to keep that program going. The fire crackles. Someone raises a toast. And slowly the season, all the breakdowns, all the frozen mornings, all the hours spent shoveling ice out of wash plants, starts to settle into perspective. This crew came out here to hit 8,000 ounces and they didn't get there. That's a fact. But they also pulled $18.3 million worth of gold out of the frozen Klondike dirt. And that's a fact too. Sometimes in mining, the numbers tell two different stories at the same time. $18.3 million in record revenue, the biggest cash haul of Parker Schnabel's career. A crew that gave everything and walks away knowing the ground beneath their feet is richer than anyone expected. And a mine boss who's already planning his comeback before the last embers go cold. Next season, Parker Schnabel isn't coming back to match this number. He's coming back to destroy it, with more ground open, better knowledge of his claims, and a crew that's already hungry for redemption. The Klondike better be ready. Do you think Parker can actually hit 8,000 ounces next season, or is the Klondike always going to find a way to fight back? Let us know in the comments below. Make sure to like and subscribe for more Gold Rush breakdowns and hit that notification bell so you don't miss what's coming. Music fades.